Thank you for joining us for this Palomar College Microtraining, Mitigating Enrollment Fraud. We now join this training, already in progress.
Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to talk about something that's critically important and has come up that has become very important in the last several months, the mitigation of fraud. So the first type of fraud that is impacted is what we call enrollment fraud. So what happens is we have a group of individuals who are using stolen identities, so real people data, but they don't know that their data is being used, and they're creating new admissions applications. And in the process, they're getting into our respective databases, getting student emails, and getting to that first step into the process. We have done a number of steps to try to catch these and block these out. They're being blocked out at both the Chancellor's Office level at CCC Apply and internally within Palomar College. We have processes that are reviewing all of our applications. One of the potential negative impacts is it does slow down the process for the applications. We have gotten a little bit better over time on getting faster, but it still can delay the application 1 to 2 days when it used to be as quickly as every 15 minutes. But it does require some additional evaluation of the applications to ensure that they are accurate and true applications, not part of a fraud scheme. And once they've enrolled in classes, the next step that they do is they submit financial aid applications. Now, if you remember, I said they are using actual student data, stolen student data. So these are real live students. So the data all matches up. So when they submit a financial aid application, it oftentimes gets through the financial aid checks because in the federal level, because they really are a real person. So now we have a student who submitted a fraudulent application, has enrolled in courses, and has filed for financial aid. The reason they're doing this is they know that as part of financial aid, we try to get financial aid checks into students' hands as quickly as possible, usually prior to the beginning of the term started, so that students get prepared for the term and get started. Where this is so critically important for you as a faculty member is that we need you to identify these individuals as quickly as possible. And the primary way that you're going to do this is by really being involved in student interaction. Having that effective contact between students, knowing whether they're in attendance or not, whether they're participating in class, whether they're directly engaging with you. And in in-person classes, this is typically pretty easy. And frankly, most fraud applicants do not go for in-person classes, though they could. Most of them go for online classes. So then it adds another layer of how you do this interaction in the asynchronous class setting. As a regular part of the process, there is something called the census certification, typically at the 20% point of the class or the beginning of the third week for full term classes. At that point, you're asked to clear the roster of students who are not attending and or failing to complete anything. If they do not meet this criteria, then at the census certification, this is your opportunity to ensure that you drop them as part of the census certification, which keeps them from really finalizing the enrollment fraud part. I can't emphasize enough that really the faculty's role is the last best stop is the census certification.
So now, thank you, everybody. Now I'm going to give a little bit kind of like the faculty perspective. As Kendall kind of like mentioned, there was a lot of things that we need to kind of like prevent, and faculty has a big role on it. Realize that faculty played a critical role in this mitigating the fraud, and we have the responsibility of verifying active student engagement within all of our courses. Verification should be taking place through regular and effective contact between instructor and students. So you can verify that engagement with the students with class attendance, class participation, direct engagement with the instructor for asynchronous courses. Faculty should prioritize the confirmation of student engagement as early in the course as possible and multiple times prior to the census date. Then once census time is approaching, you should have, let's say, 3 or 4 kind of like contact moments with the students where you know that it's an actual human student taking your class. One of the things that we do have to be very careful when talking about fraud is that we need to make the student centered and realize that actual students are not doing this fraud. It's actually bad actors. So hopefully this tips, tricks, and recommendations gives you an overview of the what we need to do as an institution, but also what you can do as an individual faculty to retain your students, keep them engaged, and prevent bad actors from receiving financial means that they should not have access to. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us for this Palomar College Microtraining, Mitigating Enrollment Fraud.